What's up? I'm Annabelle Hasselbeck here with Natalie Noury, and today is a very special episode of Respect Her Game because we're so excited to welcome on Sierra Romero. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we're so pumped to talk to you about all things softball, but it is the summer, so we have to know what's been a highlight of your summer so far?
Oh man, probably just the start of AUSL and being on a team again. It was so much fun for me, just having been through so many different versions of professional softball to experience that and experience that team atmosphere, but it being done right.
That's so awesome. And like you said, with that league, what was maybe a standout highlight just from this past season?
Oh man, it happened early on, and I had said that it was probably going to be like one of my favorite moments of season. It was probably the walk off by Clark, Mackenzie Clark. She had a walk off like first series of the inaugural AUSL season, and it was so fun just to be in that atmosphere again, be surrounded by everybody freaking out when she hit it. But then also the Round Rock turnout. Round Rock, we had I think 60 or not 60, we had 6,000 fans at one of the games, and that was so fun to see the fans rally around professional softball.
Now, Sierra, I wanted to ask you this earlier, but where are you calling in from today? Where's home for you?
St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay, very nice. Is it hot down there this time of year, or have things kind of settled down?
Yeah, it's hot, especially right after it rains. But I love it. I love the heat, the sun. I'm an outdoors like girl. I like the beach and all those things, so I'll take it.
Perfect place to be. We're up here in New England, of course. It's really muggy this time of year, but of course, we're getting through it. We got baseball up here. I was saying earlier, I work with your little brother Mikey. We'll get into that a little bit later, but just really cool to see the paths cross here. Really happy to have you on today. And you mentioned this was the inaugural season for the AUSL. That's right, right?
Yes.
Inaugural, we love inaugural seasons in sports because it kind of sets a standard and hopefully paves the path for future stuff to come. What do you think was the coolest part about seeing this, come to fruition this year and being a part of it?
I think that for a lot of like the vets in the league, we've known that professional softball could be this, and we knew that we could get the fans. Like we knew we could put a good product out there. So like having AUSL and our owners, like just having them back us and putting everything that they put into all of this money, time, effort, all the people behind the scenes, like seeing that all come together was just really cool for me. Especially just like I said, being a vet, I don't know how much longer I plan on playing. So just knowing that we're in such good hands and that like as we continue to go forward, these pros are going to have really cool opportunities.
Hey, we're cheering you on. We think there's a few more years in you for sure. But I think it's so important what you said, and even just looking at what the PWHL has done and the PLL, Men's Professional, the Premier Lacrosse League, the social media and the branding, and just like simple things like color really matters when you're trying to engage new audiences and get people hyped up. And what I've seen from the AU Softball League is exactly that. And even on steroids, I would say, just with the colors and how cool your jerseys are. What do you think really stands out to you when you think about how this league has performed maybe off the field in this first year?
I just think that everything they've done, from the marketing, from social media to how we're doing these interviews, like just little things like autographs, the merchandise, like they are really trying to make sure that this is an experience for our fans and that our fans feel included, like they know us and they can get to know us as the league is growing, which is really important, that they feel connected to us and that they want to continue to follow along. But I just think that they've done such a good job at that. And I guarantee you, if you were to ask them, they're going to be like, oh, we missed certain opportunities and we're just going to continue to get better. But that's just what they do great, right? Like anything that they feel they missed or they could have done better, they're going to do better next year. And there's going to always be things that we have to fix and improve to keep the league growing and going at the rate it's going. But everything has just been top notch. Like our social media team, they're doing such a good job. Like I go on to see what other teams are posting just to see what like other managers of the social media is like commenting back, like little things with even Sydney and I posting a photo together. You got the Volt saying, oh, Sid looks good in purple, like maybe she should, be on the Volt. And then you got the Talons chiming in saying like, no, we think we'll keep her. So just like fun little banter like that is really cool to see how they're just being super interactive on social media.
I love the fact that you brought up Sydney. Of course, having your sibling, your sister, kind of along for the ride, I'm sure is a special thing. But just the interaction that you have while doing this job together, and the fact that social media can contribute, and it's kind of a brand for the Romeros too. I mean, how cool is it to have your sister along for the ride?
Oh, it's awesome. It'll never get old. I was talking about it with her just this past week. We were roommates on the road, and it's fun. Like, just the outside stuff, even like, yes, playing together is fun. Wearing the same uniform is fun, but being on the same schedule so we can go get dinner, go get coffee together, go just do our normal routine, because Sydney's all the way in Oregon. I'm all the way in Florida. It's hard to see each other all the time with our schedules, but she's my best friend, and it's super, super fun to be playing with her, competing with her, but then also just getting to be sisters and, hang out outside of softball too when we are playing during the same time.
That's very special. And I'm also the older sister and got to play college lacrosse with my little sister Mallory. And on the plane rides, we were on the same team, and we would be alphabetically next to each other. And she would always let her head, rest on my shoulder during the flight, because she knew she could, because I was her sister. So I definitely know there is a little bit of that probably in your experience too. But you guys have faced off in college once before, and then you get to even play together in the All-Star Cup. But do you have a standout memory with her maybe on the field?
The standout memory on the field was probably college, just because it was when we were playing against each other at the World Series. It was a really cool moment. Mikey and Pio were super little, but it was so fun to see them there. My mom and dad were there, and then we were playing against each other, competing. I was at Michigan, she was at Oklahoma, but we're on the biggest stage of college softball, and her team ended up later on going on to win a national championship after that. That's cool. But it was really fun to play together and play against each other there. And then it's been cool to also be able to play together in the pro league. And even though we're not on the same pro team, it's still fun to watch each other living out our dreams.
I think that's one of the coolest parts about having a family that is so athletic. My family's not like that at all, but at least when we were like in youth sports and that kind of stuff, our family parents would always kind of show up, and it's hard to figure out who to root for. Is it this one or that one? And you've got quite a few to pick from in the Romero family. So just knowing, you grew up in quite the athletic family and all kind of ended up taking your careers to the ultimate level. What does that mean to you to know that you really kind of had that in your blood, and not only you, but your sister, Mikey, and your little sister, you all were able to make the most of the opportunities you were given?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it started with our parents. They just really instilled like hard work and dedication and sticking to something, and, not running away when things got tough. And softball's tough, baseball's tough. Those sports are full of failure, and it can just be mentally exhausting and draining at times. And it's just taught us so much about life, and it's really cool to sit back and see where we've all ended up, with me in pro, Sydney pro, Mikey pro, and Sophia in college right now getting her degree and playing softball. Like, our goal was never like, well, at least for us girls at the time, like, it was never like, let's go pro, like, let's get our degree paid for. That was the goal with it at the time, because pro softball wasn't quite there yet. And now look at us. Like, I did not expect to be playing this long at all. I thought my career would have been done a long time ago, but I'm very, very blessed and happy to be where I'm at. But it's just cool. It's so cool to see my siblings living out their dreams and having fun, and Mikey getting called up, and him, calling me and Sid when we were on the road and FaceTiming him when that happened. Like, I couldn't help but be so proud. Same with Sophia. She's training, getting ready to go back to Boise, and she's so excited to go back and get after it and see her friends and work hard. And I'm just so happy, because I know that feeling, and I'm proud of them.
It's incredible. And I love to just hear how you as siblings are cheering each other on and able to do life together. But there are a lot of athletic families, right? But you're saying hard work. And if you're talented, it can only go so far if you don't really work at your craft. And so I'd love to know just maybe, what was it like growing up in your household? What did that look like not on game day?
It was always competitive. We joke about how we would be competitive on, who got shotgun, like running, like who was the fastest to the car to get to sit in front. Like, everything was a competition, but it was always so fun to compete with each other, but also train with each other. We push each other to be better all the time. We're on the road, and it might be a day where I don't really feel like working out. And Sid's like, "You're not working out today? Like, come on. Like, I'm going to go work out. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. I should go work out. But it goes both ways. We do it to each other. Same with Sophia. You know, we're always checking in on Sophia. We're like, hey, did you train today? Mikey, it's his job, so we know he's doing it, and they're going to make him do it. There's no need to check in with him. We more so check in to see just how he's doing, you know, mentally and physically, and that he's, you know, happy and healthy kind of thing. But, you know, it's such good, like, banter back and forth, and it's so nice having each other to push each other, because sometimes you don't want to do things, but it's nice to have your siblings there to push you.
And now I was looking at the lower half of the screen. We mentioned Mikey. I do want to bring him up a little bit here. We'll get back to Sophia, Sydney, and all the rest. But Mikey, I think I met him the first time August 1st after the trade deadline. He, of course, came up to Worcester. I report down there. So meeting him, it was like a long anticipated thing. Like, okay, Mikey Romero is here in Worcester. I have to say, first impression, very nice kid, but a little shy. So if you could kind of let us in on who Mikey Romero is behind the scenes, maybe give us some story tips for down the line.
He's a jokester. It's just I feel like he's kind of like me. He's got to like warm up to people a little bit first and kind of, you know, feel a little bit more comfortable. Knowing him, he's probably just was a little bit anxious, like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. Because it's so crazy for me to think about. Like, he's still, to me, like he went straight out of high school, so he's playing with a bunch of grown men, and so it's so wild to see him be who he is now. And I mean, he's huge now, which is so crazy to me. When I like see videos and see him in person, I'm like, dude, you're like a giant. But it's just, he's a jokester. Like, he's super sweet, super funny, very outgoing, but at the same time, like, he's got to kind of warm up a little bit.
And you mentioned that you had a FaceTime call with him after he did get that call up. What was the FaceTime call like, and what was the conversation there between siblings?
So it was funny because Sydney and I were out to get ice cream, and we both missed the call. So I'm like, I looked at my phone and I'm like, did Mikey? Because first of all, if your brother's calling you, at least I don't know about anybody else, but like, he never calls. Like, it's like pulling teeth to get him to talk sometimes. But I was like, did Mikey call you? She's like, yeah. And then we immediately kind of looked at each other like, wait, why did he call both of us? Is there something he needs to tell us? Like, what's going on? So we immediately start thinking, like, well, what if he got called up, or like just crazy stuff? And then we get on the phone with him, and he's like, yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys, like, I got called up to AAA. And me and Sydney both started like screaming and hyping him up. And we were like, that's so amazing. Like, he worked so hard. Like, I can't believe it. Like, we were just asking him, like, what's next steps? When do you leave? He's like, I leave tomorrow. So we were like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So we were in shock. Like, when we got off the phone with him, me and Sydney kept talking about it. I was like, I can't believe, like, little Mikey's going to AAA right now. Like, I just can't. It's just crazy to think about.
I love that story, and I have a little brother, and so my sister and I, whenever he FaceTimes both of us at the same time, it's like all hands on deck. You do not know what's going to happen, so I can totally relate to that. And I'd love to know, just what do you think he would say about growing up with sisters, and maybe just how that softball and baseball relationship has brought you guys closer?
Probably just that, like, he saw the hard work firsthand. You know, he saw us driving an hour and a half, 2 hours to training and not getting home sometimes till midnight and still having school the next day. And this was just in high school. Like, we were driving where we needed to go to get, you know, the training we wanted and needed to be elite. And then sometimes it meant sacrificing sleep, but we were willing to sacrifice it. So I think he learned at a young age what that looked like, and what it looked like sticking to something and working hard day in and day out. And I would hope that he would say he got to see us, you know, be the athletes we are, compete, and be on the big stage at, you know, the College World Series. And he got to go to all of those. And I would hope he would say, you know, seeing that made him like want it for him with baseball. So, you know, he definitely loved baseball growing up. You know, that's all he wanted to do. If ever he came up to me and wanted to play, he's like, could we play catch? Could we go hit outside? Could we play wiffle ball? Like, he always wanted to do something baseball related.
I'd love to ask you more about that college experience for you specifically, because you were an absolute baller at Michigan, holding so many records. So what was your story about landing there?
So I had saw Michigan play at a tournament in California one year, and I saw Hutch get thrown out. And when she got thrown out of the game, I was like, man, I want to play for her. Like, that's the kind of coach I want to play for. I want her to be like feisty and, you know, always going to have her team's back kind of thing. And that kind of got what put Michigan on my radar. And I ended up playing with a girl on my travel team who ended up going to Michigan. And I really respected her as a person, player, leader. Like, she was just like somebody I looked up to. And so I was like, if she's going to Michigan, I would love to go check it out and see what it's about. Because if she likes it, I feel like I would like it. And so a little bit of time goes by, Michigan ends up showing interest, and I wanted to go out there for an unofficial visit. And Michigan was actually the only school who did not offer me before I got there. All the other schools offered me a full ride before I stepped on campus, which was like nice. But when Michigan didn't offer it, it was almost like, why not? Like, it was kind of like, what's going on here? It was kind of like a little cat and mouse chase a little bit. And I was like, okay, like I want to test this out. I want to go check it out. And I had asked Hutch when I got there, excuse me, why didn't you offer me? I'm just curious, like, why didn't you offer before? Because she ended up offering me a full ride when I was there. She was like, well, I didn't know if I was going to like you. And I was like, I like that answer. Like, I really like that answer. And she was like, yeah, like, I'm not going to offer you a full ride. What if I don't like how you are as a human being? Like, I don't want to bring that to my school. And I just had so much respect for her being that honest with me. And she's just always been that way with me. And that's what I wanted. Like, I wanted someone to not only challenge me as a softball player and a school that was going to challenge me as a student, but also help me grow as a woman. And I felt like Hutch was going to do that, and she was going to challenge me and help me grow into who I wanted to be.
And I feel like that level really kind of propels you into what comes next. So you mentioned like Hutch, of course, but was she one of the most influential coaches you've had in your career? Would you kind of put your finger on that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Her and my travel ball coaches, for sure, like Mike Stith and Mark Campbell. Those were some of the top three, definitely most influential. And then, of course, my dad. My dad was our coach ever since we were little. But definitely, as far as a coach outside of family, Mark Campbell, Mike Stith, and then Carol Hutchins, my college coach. And all three of them had huge impacts in my playing career.
I love that because you're playing at the highest level. You're in the College World Series. Now you're, a pro. And I think it's still so valuable for young athletes to hear, hey, you can always be growing your game and evolving and listening to coaching because it's so important. So maybe what advice would you give young girls or even your younger sister who's still in college ball for still taking advice and growing your game even when you might think I've reached my peak?
Yeah, just being open to it. I mean, I'm still constantly doing different workouts, trying different diets, trying different things with my hitting, with my defense. Like, I just want to continue to grow and get better. And the game has changed a lot since I was in college. There's more technology now. I wasn't much of like a technology person before, but like, you have to go with the times, and technology is a huge part of scouting now, and just trying to figure out even, excuse me, for myself, how to utilize that and how to use it to my advantage has been fun, but challenging. But I just encourage everyone to keep wanting to grow, because the thing is, all the other athletes out there are, and they're taking advantage of things, and they're getting better, and you don't want to be left behind just because you're not willing to budge on something.
You mentioned the technological advancements and all that kind of stuff. I am curious, obviously you were in college a few years ago. Your sister Sophia is there now. Do you notice a difference in the path that's kind of presented to her with her career versus your softball upbringing, I guess, for a lack of better terms? What's the differences that you see, and how happy are you that Sophia, has a road ahead of her?
I would say the biggest thing that I've noticed a difference in, which I think now college kids are just having to figure out how to manage it, because I would imagine like in college it's hard to manage, but you're given so much information now. Like in college I was given information, but I don't feel like it was like information overload because we didn't have the technology for it. Now it's like you're given so much that every little thing that could possibly be wrong, and you almost want to try to fix every little thing, which I don't think is always a good thing. So there's times where Sydney and I will talk to Sophia and just like try to get her to simplify things a little bit more, because Sophia's like us, like we're perfectionists. And I couldn't imagine having all that information when I was in college, because if I feel good, then I feel good. Like I'm not trying to change anything, but sometimes with too much technology, you can definitely start to want to fix things that maybe don't need to necessarily be fixed just yet, or, don't try to fix it if it's not broken, kind of thing. But Sophia, she's a really smart player. She knows her swing, and she's wanting to get better and evolve. And she's done that this offseason. She's sent us clips of her hitting. She's wanting to change different aspects of her game and try to be better and grow. And I think that that's where it's been really cool for her to just see her taking all this new stuff now in college and running with it and just trying to be the best player she can.
Hey, I would love to see all three of you on the same AU team at some point. That would just be absolutely incredible down the line. So you have to keep playing for that to happen, or maybe you could jump in as a coach. So we'll see. But you did mention off-season workouts and just the rigor of those. And I'm not super familiar what maybe cross training or off-season looks like for a softball player. So what would you say is the hardest workout that a softball player might do or drill might do in the off-season?
I'm gonna shout out my app right now. Everything I do on my app, I have a softball development app, the 32 Approach. It is like, those are the hardest things I've ever done. Those are the hardest workouts I've done. That's the hardest kind of schedule and routine I've stuck to. That's, I'm exhausted by the end of the week, and like, those are exactly what I do. It's, different agility training, it's speed work, it's weightlifting, it's still conditioning. It's all of those things, because like, we have to be powerful, but we also need to be explosive. Like, you need to be able to move and be agile. Like, all these different things go into it. So like, your training has to look like that too. Like, if you're just lifting heavy weights constantly, that doesn't mean you're going to be fast. You're not going to have those quick twitch muscles that you need in our sport. So it's really important to train all the above. And I know that that's hard for people to find, which is exactly why we came out with the app. But that app is exactly what I do. So that's been definitely the best part of my training, just to keep consistently doing that every single day in my off season.
I love that. You said, I'm going to shout out the app. Shout it out, because I think that's incredible. And you call it the 32 Approach. Can you kind of explain the reason you called it that, and a little bit more about why you decided to come up with it?
Yeah, I just take a lot of pride in how I do like my business and how I handle myself as a pro. And I think I do things the right way. And, I'm always trying to help everybody and help everyone win, and including myself. And so the hardest part as a pro has been finding something that does everything the 32 Approach does. So, it has basically a really good strength and conditioning program. Excuse me. It has the drills. It has all those things. But what we wanted to do was, yes, make it so the pros could use it. And usually the pros really focus on like the strength and conditioning aspect of it. But I was really blessed to grow up in California, which is like softball mecca. So I had access to so many different things, so many facilities, and all the things that I needed. And when I traveled after I graduated from Michigan and I hosted camps, I noticed like so many travel ball organizations and just kids in general, like these girls didn't have access to good training. And so I was like, well, I can't be in every state at once putting on camps trying to tell these kids what to do. Like, what's another way we could go about it? And so that's kind of how the app was created. The app has hitting, defense, speed and agility. It has catching, pitching, and then it also has strength and conditioning on there. So it basically is showing a breakdown of every drill that I think makes a good hitter, good defender. And then we have like a pitching coach in there. I don't know pitching, so we gave that to somebody else and have someone, qualified to do that. And then we have my strength coach in there doing the strength and conditioning aspect of it. But I wanted it to be affordable for all athletes, because I know that softball is expensive, bats, gloves, lessons are expensive. And so we wanted the app to be kind of like all in one. So that way they can get everything, and it's a calendar, and you don't have to ask every day, I don't know what to do today for training. It's already put on your calendar every single day. And if you want it to be a heavy day, make it a heavy day. If you want it to be a light day because you're tired, like, you can adjust it accordingly.
So awesome. And you know what? I got it here. I got it in my screen. I'm downloading the app right now. 32 Approach. Get so pumped about it. I'm going to get yoked. So if anybody noticed a change in me, it's probably because I'm going to excel in an intramural softball league out here in Boston. But seriously, Sierra, thank you so much for sharing your heart about softball, sharing the app, and really just how you're leading the way for young softball players to come. We're cheering you on. We're cheering your entire family on. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was an absolute treat. But when we come back, more RHG. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Respect Your Game. Natalie and I are going to mix it up a little bit today. So we have some fun topics for you all. So to start, what female athlete would you want to see on Dancing with the Stars? Yes, maybe this was spurred because Danny Amendola was at Patriots practice training camp the other day. But anyway, it's kind of become a new hot thing. I feel like it lost a little bit of momentum the last couple years, then back on top. So let's get to it. What female athlete would you want to see on Dancing with the Stars? Natalie, who's your first dancer?
You know what? I went with what I'm going to call a very strong number one here. I picked Lexi Agia. So she was with the Boston Fleet last year. She is no longer with the Boston Fleet, still in the PWHL, but she's now West Coast with those expansion teams. But I just think, first of all, she had the best, I don't even want to know what you call it, but like stage presence, I guess. Like they all are great, of course, but every time she walked into the rink, it was like a runway. It was like,
I was gonna say, you got to start with the outfit. You got to start with the outfit.
Yes, she never repeats. She's like, if I repeat, then I like lock me up because I'm not gonna repeat. But no, she was just like, she's a star in general. She walks like a star, and like, first of all, she's got, I don't want to like say it like this, but the athletes are so strong. They have incredible bodies. We know, like, last year we got to see some female athletes there that were just incredible. So I feel like I'd love to see Lexi. Great personality, great stage presence. She's strong, and I'd love to see a strong woman out there like that, just because you can kind of relate to different body types that way. And I don't know, I think she'd be great to see.
I love that choice, and I love that you started with the outfits, because you do kind of have to have a good sense of style to know you're going to wear, you're on camera, and two, like, you need that personality as well. Right. And I love what you said just about like the athlete body type, because it's not the typical dancer body type. So that's why shows like that are so great. But I'm gonna go with another superstar, and Caitlin Clark. And I know it's kind of like, oh, Caitlin Clark, would she ever do it? But I think it'd be awesome, right?
I think that'd be cool.
Nobody's really seen her in that environment, I think, for obvious reasons, in the star power, but also the footwork. She's a guard, so she's got the footwork. She knows exactly how to have a crossover, how to do a 360 spin move. I think there's a lot of opportunity too there for like some interpretive dances with some different audio, because you can bring in audio of her highlights over the loudspeaker, like in a remix. So I'm thinking like, okay, we can not only have her in the dance portion, but we can use the music to maybe some Caitlin Clark highlights. So that's my first girl. But who is your second dancer?
So also, I went with Venus Williams. I went with Venus, not Serena, Serena, but Venus was actually my favorite athlete growing up. The first sport that I ever really like played was tennis. And my mom got me a green tennis racket when I was little. It was kind of the color of like a green screen. And it had Venus Williams on the cover. And I just remember thinking, like, she's so cool. I want to be like her someday. And I don't know, still to this day, whenever I see Venus Williams, it's kind of like a fondness, because I'm like, oh, I grew up like idolizing her, wanting to be the person on my tennis racket. Didn't make it, wasn't close, but no, I'd love to.
Still can't. Tennis is a sport you can play for your whole life, so it's all good.
Right. I know, well, maybe some decades to come, but I don't know. Serena, she of course is incredible. She's a boss, but show Venus some love too. I'd love to see her on Dancing with the Stars. I'd tune in.
I love that one. I tune in as well. My second one is Sydney McLaughlin, and I just love this athlete. She is so poised, but also very fierce. And she's got the speed, so you know that she'll be able to get across the dance floor very fast. And some of these dance moves take some jumps and take some leaps, and this is a hurdler. So I'm thinking, all right, she's got everything that she needs. She also just is a great human, and I love to cheer on great humans and have them, be put in the spotlight even more. So Sydney, I hope to see you on Dancing with the Stars. But Natalie, this is my formal invite to an invitation that I don't actually have the jurisdiction to extend. But who is your third dancer?
It's funny because when I was looking at this list, I did see you put Sydney McLaughlin, and she was the first one that came to my mind, just to branch off of that. It was a great idea.
So 2 votes.
Yeah,
Sydney,
2 votes.
Two votes.
I have a different number 3, but I do think Sydney, she was like the first because of a hurdler. I was a hurdler, again, not like Sydney, but I was like, who's that hurdler, 400 meter, who does that? And I saw you I was like, incredible choice, Annabelle. But my third was Danica Patrick. I know, not a traditional athlete per se, but of course she was a racer. I don't even want to know what you call it, but racer, yeah. But she's like 5'2". She's got like this, I don't know, the makeup of like a gymnast kind of. I think it'd be interesting to see her. I think, I don't know, I think she's in her 40s now, but like no age discrimination. I think she could still kick some butt out there. I just always thought, like, growing up, she was someone that I saw on TV and being like, wow, she does this in a men's sport. It's a co-ed sport, I guess you could say. So I always thought that was really cool. I'd love to see Danica Patrick dancing.
I love that one. I have to imagine that she's been up for it, or they've definitely asked her. Like, there's no way they haven't.
She's cool.
She's cool. She's got that like edge to her too, a little bit, and very fierce. So, Danica, do it. Like, they're definitely asking you, so definitely do it. But my third dancer is going to be Katie Ledecky, because we got to see her on land. We're having a little bit of an Ariel moment, okay? We know what she can do in the water, but let's see her on 2 feet inland. And she's got this really cute bob cut, okay? And I'm like, we don't get to see it because she's wearing a swim cap all the time. So I would love to see Katie Ledecky. She'd be amazing at these routines, because they're only like 90 seconds long, these dance routines.
Takes some stamina, though.
Katie Ledecky is swimming for like 15 minutes sprints. So she's like one of the best endurance athletes in the world. So I'm like, girl, you are going to crush a 90-second routine, dance routine. But those are our three. I absolutely loved yours. Love these. We'll have to send them in to Dancing with the Stars. But we have another question. What female athlete should start a podcast? What would it be, and why? You know, we're going to bring this up because last week we did a podcast mania in the WNBA. It seems like almost everyone has a podcast. But there are some notable female athletes who do not have a podcast. So, Natalie, who would your female athlete be?
Well, I feel like I'm doing a quick search here, because I'm like, I hope they don't already have a podcast. But I was thinking, like, everybody does kind of have a podcast these days, but I was like, the Kelsey.
Or they're on. It's confusing because they're on a ton of podcasts.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't really know. I'd love to see the Williams, like Venus and Serena, because I think you think about like the Kelsey brothers, and then I even have come across one with just Cooper DeJean on the Eagles with Reed Blankenship. They're like two of the rookies, like young kids, and they're like best friends. But for some reason, those kind of dynamics, I feel like tend to prompt the most like candid conversations. And like you talk about the sibling rivalry, the sibling banter, that kind of thing. I don't think there's ever anything that's not enjoyable about listening to siblings talk to each other. And I just feel like the Williams sisters have some, crazy experiences that they could touch on, and I think that'd be really cool. I would definitely
be great.
Listen to that.
Actually, I'm going to change my answer now that you said that, because I only picked one person, Suni Lee, the Olympic gymnast.
It's a good one,
but I think you're so right. I think having like kind of Cooper DeJean has Blankenship on his podcast, it just adds another level of familiarity, and you're willing to say more. I think when you're just like talking with your friends, I think that's why these podcasts and these shows do so well, is because it just feels like you're in the room with them.
Right.
So okay, so I don't know who it would be with Suni Lee. I think I'd have to say maybe even not like a more recent gymnast, but maybe even like, I know Shawn Johnson does a lot of social media. She does a lot of podcasting. It'd be cool to have like more of like that senior gymnast and to hear like comparing their USA experiences. I think there's a lot that's probably said because they have crazy media opportunities, but also like a lot of just, unsaid things that I would love to know. And I totally thought I was going to be a USA gymnast, like how to bounce in my garage. It just
did you?
It did not go
I didn't
that
know
way.
That.
Oh
That's
yeah,
so cute.
I was all about it. And then somebody told me, they're like, you're too tall. And I was like, you know what? You're definitely right. Like, I am probably a little too tall, which don't crush your dreams based off of one person's opinion. That's not exactly what I'm saying. Other things came up. But no, I would love to see that crossover. And even just like the gear haul, I'm like, just show me every Olympic piece, every USA, anything you have.
That would be
but
cool.
I think the partnership is really important. But another question here. What female athlete should be in movies or on TV? We've seen LeBron, we've seen Peyton Manning and other people, but I think for me, obviously, like, I want to talk about Caitlin Clark because she is like the person right now, and I think a documentary maybe following like her rise.
That would be
not
cool.
just like like the season, but like where did this craze come from? Because it really is a craze. So maybe something like that. But then I'm also thinking about some of her teammates, and I'm like, you could just do a whole show on the Fever. Like, Aaliyah Boston is a personality.
Yeah.
She should be on a game show, though. That's what I think. I'm like, not reality TV. Maybe Sophie Cunningham on reality TV. Aaliyah Boston, like, she's so nice. She's got the personality. And I just feel like she's really funny, too. And she's going to stand up for herself. So I feel like Sophie Cunningham should go on reality TV. But Aaliyah Boston, I'm saying, go on like an awesome game show and absolutely dominate.
I love that. And it's like a person and like, I don't know, you think about someone in particular and what kind of like TV setting they would be good in, like Caitlin Clark documentary. I think that would go a long way.
Right. Yeah, like their vibe.
Yeah,
I was
like-
going for, I'm like, okay, who would do
Right.
what?
I was thinking,
Or Dancing with the Stars. I mean, I had it as my first choice.
I don't know. I mean, I was thinking of like more along the lines of like reality TV, like whose life would I want to see? I do want to shout out, and this is my answer. I would say Kelly Babstock. So she is a Boston Fleet member, and she actually was on a reality TV game show in Canada last year. She actually spent, I don't know if it was portion of the off season or probably the off season filming in Canada. It was Canada's Ultimate Challenge. That's what it's called. So it's like, I think it was like 4 different teams. It's kind of like the Survivor, but not. I said like a Bostonian there. Survivor. But
that
no.
was awesome. That was awesome. Okay.
Kelly Babstock was Team Yellow with Canada's Ultimate Challenge. And they had to compete in these different, I don't know, kind of challenges, I guess. So I remember there was one where she had to throw a football through, like, if you watch Harry Potter, like a Quidditch like circle. But she was
watch
like,
Harry Potter, or you just drive by Harvard sometimes and you can see them playing it outside.
Yeah.
I've seen it firsthand. It's wild.
she was on like some kind of like trapeze like harness where she was like swinging through the air trying to like throw a football through a hoop. And the greatest thing about Kelly Babstock is her personality. She is absolutely one of the funniest people that I know. She was on this game show. Unfortunately, couldn't watch it in the States while it was being aired, but I know a lot of the coaching staff, and whenever they were in Canada, they were catching up on episodes because of Kelly Babstock. So she's my answer. I don't know if it would be like I think reality TV, follow Kelly Babstock for a day. That's my official pitch because she's just so hilarious. She has made a TV debut, but I'm going to go for her, and then as well as Mia Hamm, just because of the Nomar Garcia-Parra relationship. I think that would just be a really cool reality show or something. Like follow them or see what they're up to in their day-to-day lives. I think, we always love power couples who are both athletes and, outstanding athletes. I just think that would be interesting.
I love those. And we're just giving these producers great content and great
Great
ideas.
ideas.
You're welcome. We
We're
just did your
pitching.
brainstorm session for you. But one more fun question here. What female athlete would you want to be on a stranded, deserted island with? I got to go Alona Mar because
That's a
she just
great
make me
answer.
laugh. Like, honestly, she would just make me laugh and find the whole situation absolutely
Yes.
hilarious. But I also was contemplating, like, throwing Katie Ledecky back in there because I'm like,
Yeah.
girl, I'll just build myself a raft. I'll
Yep.
strap it to your foot and you just swim and get me off this island. But I don't know if you have someone that comes to mind for deserted island, but I'm latched onto Katie Ledecky's back foot
answers.
with a rope and I'm just chilling on the raft. Get me off the island.
Ilona, she's also going to be the muscle for you there. Like whatever you
Yeah.
need done, Ilona. And she was, again, Dancing with the Stars last season. She set such a great example for so many little girls and girls my age who are, insecure with their bodies. And she's just become such an advocate for so many wonderful things. Love Ilona Mar, is that how you say it?
Ilona Mar.
Ilona
Love her.
Mar. Would love to be on an island with her. I just think that would be a fun time. I'm going to go with Gigi Marvin. Friend Gigi Marvin, friend of Nesson, friend of the show, friend of the fleet.
Let's go.
I'm going to go with Gigi because I think she is one of the most calm, cool, and collected people that exist in this world. And she's from Minnesota, Warroad, Minnesota. So she's from like border of Canada. She loves, the lakes, hiking, fishing. I'm sure she's got all that in her back pocket. So I really thought of this with like a logical angle. I'm like, who's going to give me the best chance of survival and maintain sanity? Gigi Marvin.
That's awesome because I went just for like straight up escape route. Like, how can I just get
gonna
off
make
this?
me
Who's
laugh?
gonna help? Who's gonna help me? I don't want to do anything. Who's gonna help me? But no, we did not forget about the WNBA on Respect Our Game today. So we have a whole segment coming up. So stay tuned when we come back. All right, well, it came very quick, but the WNBA regular season ends in under a month, and the Minnesota Lynx are still leading the way at 26-5. And just a week ago, the Lynx were holding steady as the favorite to win the 2025 WNBA championship. However, now the reigning champs have made their way back. New York Liberty are now the favorite to repeat and win the title, and it really all has to do with the Lynx losing their star, Napheesa Collier, for the next couple weeks due to an ankle sprain. We don't know what grade the ankle sprain is, but we know it definitely was not good. So right now, it's between the Lynx and New York, which, you never know. Maybe we have a really good Indiana Fever team come up, but say we just were looking at those two teams. I'm going to still go with the favorite. I'm going to pick in the majority like everybody else is saying. I'm going to think New York should be the favorite to win. They're going to learn from their mistakes. They haven't been able to defeat Minnesota recently in this season. And Collier going down, like that's your best player,
Yeah.
right? When your best player goes down, not only is that a deficit to what happens on the court, but it's also just the team morale. And we've seen this Minnesota team act like it's all good and nothing's going on, and they're very confident in what they're able to do, and they even picked up some trades. But I just really think that this New York team is going to find a way back to the top. But I don't know, favorites, everyone's saying it's going to be the reigning champs. Minnesota definitely shows their hunger and definitely is ready to repeat history and fix that. But who do you think should be the favorite right now?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Just listening to you talk there, it kind of reminds me of like the Minnesota Frost in the PWHL. It's like they just kind of stayed dominant, and it's like it's not like frustrating, but it's like, okay, let's come up with someone new. So I might kind of throw you a curveball here and say I think Minnesota should be the favorite. I think the Lynx have my support in this. They're 27-5 this season, and even though Collier went down, they still did okay. And we've talked about that plenty of times before, where like you lose a player, but the team comes together and finds a way to put together a win. I mean, they still, are a dominant team. I think they've got my vote for sure. I think the Lynx is kind of who I'm going with here. And I think they want that back. They want last year back, of course. Like it's the chip on the shoulder. I feel like that always helps teams play a little extra, with a little extra oomph, I think.
Definitely. And they think Collier will be back. Like, they definitely are very positive about that. But let's get into the injury a little bit, because it was huge news in the WNBA. She got injured against the Las Vegas Aces when they were up 43 points in the third quarter. Like, I was watching this game, I saw it, and then I rewatched all the stats. I'm like, was it really in the third quarter? And they were up that much, and she was still in the game, and she got hurt. Absolute blow. And they ended up winning the game 111-58. So a lot of people were saying you were going to win the game. So let's hear from the head coach on Napheesa Collier's injury immediately after the game.
I don't want to question you, because you know better than I do, but does it make you think I shouldn't have had her in it?
No, I don't think about those things. It's the third quarter of a game, on someone else's floor. I don't think the game is over. I don't think like that. She had a sub there, and she wasn't going to play in the fourth quarter. Sometimes these things happen, and I get it. People are going to rail on me, and that's part of sitting in the seat that I'm sitting in. But we did what we think was right, and sometimes these things happen, and unfortunate, and hopefully she'll be okay.
She said she didn't think the game was over, but you're up 43 points in the third quarter. And I don't know, my perspective is like, yes, you want to go at teams, run the score up. This is pro sports. That's fine. I'm all about being as competitive as you can. But if you can't hold a lead 43 points for one quarter in the fourth quarter, then you're in a bad place. Something's going on. So I really think there's some type of game management. And also you want your star players and your starters to be fresh for your next game. So I think, as a coach, you don't want to say oh, I regret doing this. There's some professionalism of holding some of the truth back, right? You don't want to be processing in front of the media. Maybe she's now processed that and be maybe I should not play her as much. But I don't know. I think to me that was not an awesome move, leaving her in the game. But you got to just think, hey, we're already high in the standings. Regardless, we know we're going to make the playoffs. We're going to be a top seed. Just feel like what's the risk reward there, leaving your best player in?
I mean, I think that's the biggest angle to this too, is they are not in the most important time of year yet. Playoffs are still ahead, and I think you kind of, if I were a coach, I think there would be a way to ration out playing time for some of my best players if I knew that they were a little banged up. And I think that's a really good point, because it's do you risk some of your best players? Do you risk potentially doing more damage and losing them when it does matter most? And I think that's kind of one of those things where it's I don't know. You might not want to overplay someone that you really need in the long run. So I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe she was processing it in front of the media, but I mean, they're all competitors, especially Collier, because it's one of those things where it's athletes, you don't want to athletes don't like being told you got to sit down, right?
And there's a part of it too is okay, we're not even at playoffs yet. I still need my top players to be conditioned and to get that work in, to know what it feels like to play in a fourth quarter. That happens across every league, is you keep your starters in even if you're up, just for the reps and for the practice. But when these things happen, it probably not only makes Minnesota check twice about who they have in the game, but also every other team in the league. The Fever is now checking, maybe we shouldn't keep our stars in as long as we want. And even New York at the same time, I bet, they have Breanna Stewart out too right now. So lots of injuries that are happening in the WNBA and a lot of things to be careful when you are in that top seed. You have that ability to not be on the buffer and have to know that if we don't make this game, we might be on that number 8 spot, not making the WNBA playoffs. But when we come back, we'll give you a quick recap of the Lynx versus Liberty game that happened over the weekend, because this was another rematch of the championship last year. So you will not want to miss what the coaches and players have to say on that game. So stay tuned when we come back. All right, well, let's get to the game that happened on Sunday. The Minnesota Lynx beat the New York Liberty 83-71. So they were very happy about taking back almost a championship. You can call it a championship rematch, but I feel like it's really not there until you get into the playoffs. And this was the first game between these two teams in the Barclays Center in New York since they took home the title in Game 5 last year. So you can imagine just the emotions that were probably they were feeling just being back in that same arena, understanding, last time, we know how this went. It's got to just feel not great, but also at the same time, like a true hunger and a desire to win when you're in that same stadium.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the break, but the chip on your shoulder kind of thing, it's like all athletes, all teams kind of tend to play that way where it's like, we know what happened here last year. I know a lot of coaches too will lead their team hey, let's acknowledge the past, let's acknowledge what happened, but let's take care of business tonight where our feet are. And I think Minnesota was considered the road underdog here, and I think, it was one of those situations where it's like, how is Minnesota going to play without Collier? But they came in, they pulled it together, they walked out with the win, and I think it was, great win, great character win, too, for the team.
Definitely, and a team that probably didn't feel as great of a great character win was the New York Liberty. So let's hear from their head coach, Sandy Bordello, after the game.
I give Minnesota credit. We didn't make them feel uncomfortable, and they made us feel really uncomfortable. And we lacked a little bit of discipline and how we wanted to run it, and we weren't on our front foot. We some of the passes we threw, no one was open, especially into the. I don't know what we're looking at. I think we were just a little bit rattled. We got to settle them down. I've got to do a better job of settling them down there, and because usually against this team in the last game we didn't have many turnovers, but we gave them offensive rebounds, and that was another area that has been hurting us, and we've got to be better. So, like I said, Minnesota just. Right now, have played a little harder, and more intentional than we did today.
I wrote down a few words and phrases that Brondello said in that short clip. She said, we weren't on our front foot. We were rattled. And I needed, as a coach, she was saying, I probably needed to do a better job of settling them down. And I'm looking at these 3 phrases of settle down, rattled, and weren't on our front foot. And I'm thinking, you're at home.
Yeah.
You're the defending champs. You're the aggressor. You are in a really tight race for the number 1 spot in the WNBA standings. What is there to fear? And maybe just, I don't know, maybe it was a fear factor of, we know they've beaten us multiple times already this season. Maybe they knew Stewart was out and they felt uncomfortable about that. I don't really know, but I'm just looking at the way that she said the game went for them. And I feel like that is a full character, and those are controllable things.
Yeah.
It's not saying our ball movement was bad or we didn't hustle. Those are very controllable things.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. You said it almost seemed like they were playing with a little bit of fear, kind of timid or something. And I wrote down it seemed like Minnesota had they played with intention. They were intentional with how they were kind of attack them on their Achilles heel is what I wanted to say, because of course, Brindella talked about offensive rebounds. They've been hurting us. We need to be better there. So of course, Minnesota, they watch game tape. They know what New York is going through. They know how to attack them. And it's they went in with an intention. They went in knowing what they wanted to do, the game plan. I mean, that's as easy said right there. They had a game plan. They executed on it and caught New York on their heels.
They did. And there's still a lot of games left in the regular season, which is just crazy. I feel like their season goes on forever. And that's probably why the New York players were able to be we're good. We got to fix some things. It wasn't our best showing and come back can come back out and really turn it around, because what you need, these losses before the postseason are really helpful. You know, you never want to lose, but they're actually in the perfect spot because you're sitting at the New York Liberty number 2. Lynx are right above them. You have the Dream, and there's kind of a fall off after number 2 spot. So make the mistakes while you have the luxury of keeping that top seed for the playoffs and getting to host a home game, you know, first round, because that's important. Other teams don't have that luxury. So New York, you're good. You have time and space, but
don't panic.
don't panic. But yeah, I'm really interested to see where this WNBA playoff race goes. I'm looking at number 8 spot. The Valkyries are holding it right now. They're the team that's in their inaugural season, and it's just fun for us to get to talk on the show about the softball league that's in the inaugural season. Last year with the PWHL, hopefully the WLL and other leagues to come, but it's all exciting stuff. But yeah, just to see the Valkyries coming up at that number 8 spot is pretty wild. So hopefully we'll see if they can make the playoffs. But always love talking WNBA. Hopefully those women that we talked about will actually go on Dancing with the Stars someday.
I'd love that.
And if not, Natalie and I get both of the tickets that they get. If they get free tickets, please take Natalie and I for giving Dancing with the Stars.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Clip that, somebody at some point down the line. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Respect Your Game. I'm Annabelle Hasselbeck, Natalie Noury. We will see you next Monday.